It's that time again. NFL Game Day Pick'em is here. We're going to start with the Bengals and Ravens and plenty of questions about who's going to be playing quarterback for Baltimore.
Okay, so if Lamar Jackson and RG3 are available, my model projects a 23-20 win for the Ravens. If Joe Flacco plays, it'll be an even more convincing Ravens win. However, wait as long as possible if you're going to pick that game.
This is going to be so good. The Rams, 3-point favorites in this matchup of 9-1 teams. As we know, Cooper Kupp out for the year with a torn ACL. Does this mean we see more Todd Gurley, TV?
Well, when Kupp is in the lineup, Todd Gurley only 22 touches per game. With him out the lineup, 26 touches per game. So I guess we'll see a slight uptick with Todd Gurley getting more touches this game.
Four more.
Look at you in the math.
Look at you in the math.
He's so smart. What's his name? All right, Cindy, the Rams defense really interesting this year. They're loaded with talent, but they were gashed on the ground last week. They haven't been great against the pass lately. How do you see Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs offense attacking them?
Well, Andy Reid's one of the best play callers in the entire NFL, so they're going to mix up looks between using Tyreek Hill in creative ways and Kareem Hunt. We saw them in reverse order on your screen, but you're going to use both of them. Andy Reid's going to find the matchup that he wants, and Patrick Mahomes doesn't feel much pressure.
Okay, it is time for our picks in our game of the week. I am going Rams, and don't be surprised if you see Sean McVay use one of the Chiefs' favorite plays to beat him. First one to 40 wins.
I like it. Cooper Kupp is out, but Josh Reynolds did fill in for him admirably. Week 8, he saw the end zone twice. I say the Rams have a slight edge at home. Give me the Rams.
Pump your brakes here. When two teams are good offensively, I look for the difference maker. The Chiefs' defense can make it stop, and they have that lethal weapon in Tyreek Hill on special teams. So give me those Chiefs to upset the Rams.
So I have the Rams coming out on top 31-30. I think the pass rush is a big deal in this game, but I kind of have it going the other way because there's this guy, his name's Aaron Donald. He's going to be a huge difference maker in this game.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game regardless. On to D.C. we go, where the red-hot Texans come in riding that 6-game winning streak after knocking off the Broncos Week 9. Meanwhile, the Skins rocking a 2-game lead in the NFC East, if you can believe it, after beating the Bucs in Tampa last week. So Houston is favored by 2. However, the Redskins haven't scored more than 20 points in the last month. What do they need to do, though, to get a win against that tough Texans
Well, the
defense?
offensive line is banged up.
Yeah.
They really don't have a lot of playmakers. Jordan Reed is their leading pass receiver. The guy is Alex Smith. He has to transform back into the Alex Smith that we saw last year, where he was just being aggressive down the field. If he does that, they have a chance to put some points.
Having those weapons helped in Kansas City just a little bit. Just saying.
As for the Redskins D, though, Cynthia, they do create a ton of pressure. They do have great safeties. How can the Texans offense possibly overcome that?
So the Redskins D actually, per Next Gen Stats, creates the most pressure on a percentage basis. Well, the way to counteract that has been short passes to running backs. They average almost 7 receptions to running backs in a game, and that's 4th in the NFL. That's how they counteract that. Lamar Miller.
Okay, so Lamar Miller, who do you have the win in this thing?
In a high-scoring matchup in our nation's capital, I have the Texans coming out on top, 26-21. Higher scoring than you might think.
You said a high-scoring matchup there.
Yeah,
the key to me is the Texans' defense versus the Washington Redskins' offensive line. Texans' defensive front, too much for the offensive line of the Washington Redskins. So give me those Houston Texans to win this week.
J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney, like you said, now they're coming off a bye against that banged-up offensive line. I hope Alex Smith warms up those hammies. He's running for his life. Come on, you got to go the Texans, right?
I've picked against the Redskins the last 2 weeks in a row. I have learned from, that says? HTTR, hail to the Redskins. That defense is going to step up.
Come on now.
They're going to force a couple of turnovers. Beware, Mr. Watson. Okay, down in New Orleans, the Eagles taking on the Saints. Philly fell apart against the Cowboys last week. They're now 4-5. Meanwhile, the Saints just rolling. 8 straight wins, including last week's demolition of the Bengals. They're 8-point favorites in this one. That is a big number.
It is.
How can the Eagles possibly pull off this upset?
Well, number one, 3 things they have to do. Number one, start off fast. Only 21 first-half points all year long. That's not enough. Number 2, they need to take chances with trick plays on special teams to get that team started. And then number 3, they got to make the Saints settle for field goals and not touchdowns. If they do that, they might be okay.
Injuries piling up on that Eagles defense in the secondary, by the way. Ronald Darby out for the year. Jalen Mills out this week again. One would expect another big week for Drew Brees.
You're absolutely right. Not only is Drew Brees great at those short passes you've seen to Alvin Kamara, but he's kind of sneaky, the best passer rating in the NFL on deep passes, so those 20-plus air yard passes. And Michael Thomas, is probably the best wide receiver in the game right now. So that's a huge advantage in the Saints' favor.
Michael Thomas been off the Richter scale as of late. All right, I'll start the picks. I'm going Saints. I believe the Eagles need every single thing possible to go right to have a chance to win, and even then, I don't think they can keep up.
I think the only way the Eagles can possibly win is to keep the ball away from Drew Brees, run the rock, control the clock, and they don't seem to commit to the run game since they lost Jay Ajayi. It seems like an afterthought for Doug Peterson. Give me the Saints.
I agree with what Dan talked about. Even if they did everything right I talked about, it's still going to be too much for them to win this game. Give me those Saints.
So I totally agree with you. I have the Saints 32, Eagles 24. It's all about the trenches. Advantage both sides to the Saints. The sneaky, underrated O-line and their run defense especially, both give them the advantage in this one.
All right, we are picking the Saints across the board. More game picks, though, in just a bit. Let's talk individual performances and more or less. Pat Mahomes, who we talk about every week, and more or less, him and Jared Goff will combine for 7 TD passes Monday night. TD, I ask you. More or less.
You have two of the hottest offenses in football scoring a lot of points. Of course, they're going to have more than 7 touchdown passes. So give me more right here. It should be about 9.
It should be 9?
About 9.
Cynthia,
Yeah,
okay, that's high.
So no rushing touchdowns in this one? Because that's why I say less. I think there's going to be some rushing touchdowns in this one. It's still going to be a high-scoring game, but I think maybe it's a little aggressive on the passing.
He did say Todd Gurley was going to play more.
He also told me this is going to be a low-scoring game. I can't figure out what he's talking about. All right, Antonio Brown going head-to-head with Jalen Ramsey this week. Jalen Ramsey has not been his old self this season. AB will have 82 receiving yards, more or less, TD.
I'm going less here because the Steelers, they're obviously right now they're playing well, but they have a lot of different weapons out there. Juju, you've got McDonald, you've got James, a lot of different weapons. So I'm going to say less than 82 receiving yards this game.
I'm going with more. Why? Because, well, even with A.J. Boye back and Jalen Ramsey there, I definitely don't think Antonio Brown's going to be slowed down. 82 is a low number. Brown is lights out.
They spread the ball away.
Yeah, 82 does seem awfully low for AB 84. All right, let's talk defense. Finally, the Broncos and Chargers will combine for 5 sacks Sunday, more or less, TD.
I'm going more here. I just have a gut feeling that, the Broncos have 2 top pass rushers in the game, so I think they'll get probably 3 themselves. So I'll say more than 4.
So I'm going 5. More than 5. Well, I'm going 4, so that's less than 5. Okay. I'm going less than on this one because even though they have all the great pass rushers, they both know how to evade great pass rushers. So for me in this one, it's not the pass rush that's going to be 6 sacks. That's ridiculous.
That Bears offense rolling under Matt and Mitch. Just check out the last 6 games, averaging almost 400 yards per game. And peep that red zone touchdown percentage, TD. Not bad at all. The Bears are 2-point favorites at home, but now they face a pretty good defense in the Vikings. You saw those numbers we just saw on the screen. Can they possibly put up those numbers against this Vikings defense?
I think it's going to be tough. You're talking about 34 points per game. It might not be that, but I think they can give you about 28 points this game because the Vikings defense, they're playing pretty well. So not quite what you see on the screen, but just below that.
The Bears offense good, so is the Bears defense, 4th in sacks per game. Kirk Cousins is the most pressured quarterback in the league. How can he or will he avoid that Chicago pass rush then?
Well, we know about Adam Thielen, and they get Stephon Diggs back, but really Dalvin Cook makes the big difference in this one. That's the way that you keep Kirk Cousins from turning the ball over. You use the run game, and you kind of solidify everything, so then you make your passes and not turn the ball over.
Love cooking fantasy, by the way. All right, time to pick this one up. Who do you like?
I like the Vikings, 24, Bears, 23. You talk about Chicago's pass rush. Vikings pass rush is ridiculous. The Vikings win.
They are totally heating up. The Bears, by the way, 1-2 against teams with a winning record. You know what the Vikings are? A team with a winning record, TD.
Oh, I hear you there. I'm going with the Chicago Bears in this game. The Chicago Bears defense, pretty good. Only 2 rushing touchdowns all year long. There against that Minnesota offense. Give me the Bears to win this game.
Can I get a high five?
Right,
because
are you Bears too?
Hello, Allen Robinson. He roasted the Lions. I know it's a difficult test this week against Xavier Rhodes. He stretches the field. I say he sees the end zone again. Give me the Bears. You're right, TD. All right, Dive on the Hook, presented by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Who do you have for On the Hook this week for an upset win? You got it last week.
We don't quite have a marlin this week, but we have a big old fish. My Denver Broncos taking the Los Angeles Chargers down. The Broncos, they've won 11 of the last 14 games, 3 of the last 5. Coming off a bye, real good run game. They have everything they need to beat the Chargers. So give me the Broncos to win.
TD picking the Broncos.
Shocker.
How will the defending champion Eagles possibly turn things around? Find out Sunday when Carson Wentz goes one-on-one with Kurt Warner during NFL Game Day morning. Start your Sunday with Rich the Gang, 9 a.m. It is only on NFL Network. Dan?
From Kurt with Carson to the Falcons now, who are 3-point favorites over the Cowboys this weekend. Amari Cooper hasn't really put up huge numbers in his first couple of games with the Cowboys, but to me, this offense looks and feels a little different.
You're totally right. What he does is he provides a better offense overall for the entire team. More separations for the receivers, more ways for that guy that you're watching on your screen to eat. Zeke gets a much better defensive look when they have to stay honest as opposed to just, stopping Zeke.
Totally agree with you there, TD. The Falcons have a great offense. That Cowboys defense, very good. This is like iron against iron. Who wins this battle?
It is, but the Cowboys defense, they're pretty good. They're third-ranked defense, and you know what? Matt Ryan, since 2011, week 4 or later, he is 1-11 against top 3 defenses. So give me the Dallas Cowboys defense to dominate this
football game? Okay.
Not the football game.
I'm going to go with the picks here, and first of all, I don't trust either of these teams, but I am going with the Falcons because they are the home team. I don't think that Cowboys offense can keep up with Matt Ryan and Julio J.
Last week, I saw Nick Chubb run through the Falcons defense. Zeke is coming to town. He's going to do the same thing. So give me the Dallas Cowboys to win this one.
Dan, who you got?
And Aaron, to your point, the Cowboys just 1-4 on the road. That offense for the Falcons dynamic enough to put up 30 on that Cowboys defense. Dak and company not going to be able to keep up.
I'm with you. I have Falcons 25, Cowboys 22. Even without Deion Jones, who we were hoping would come back, they still are getting healthier, including their kicker. That solidifies the win for the Falcons.
Deion coming back soon. So that's what we're thinking. What is Dave Dameshek thinking? It is time for 60 seconds.
Hi and hello, football fans. Your old pal Dave Dameshek here. Steelers down in Jacksonville to play the Jags. Bad news for Pittsburgh. Le'Veon Bell is not walking through that door. Good news for Pittsburgh. Blake Bortles is walking through that door. Bad news for Bortles and Leonard Fournette. The Jags O-line has been undermined by injury, and that'll lead to a narrow 3-point Steelers win.
Get out of here, man. I got to get home for dinner.
In a matchup of 2 first-place teams in our nation's capital, the Skins host the Texans. Watt plus Clowney plus Honey Badger minus too many big boys in Burgundy equals doom and gloom for Alex Smith. Houston wins it. Super Bowl 52.5 is going down Monday night in L.A. And Patrick Mahomes is going downfield to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce for 2 long touchdowns in KC's win over the Fighting McVays. No! Old Man Rivers and the mighty Chargers will play Denver in L.A. one day prior. I'm old enough to remember when Rivers would argue with Broncos QB Jay Cutler right in the middle of the game. This time around, he'll get little opposition from Case Keenum and company in a double-digit Bolts win, and you get my sincere thanks for watching.
Thank you, Shexter. Freeland in the fast lane. It's quick picks. We're starting with the Steelers and Jags. Go, Cynthia.
The Steelers win 27-21. Why? Because the Steelers' run defense is 4th best in the NFL, and they're going to keep Leonard Fournette contained.
Panthers in Motown.
Yeah, okay. Panthers win 27-24. Why? Because that guy, Cam Newton, he's having an MVP season, and he's possibly going to rush for more first downs than any running back on his team. It's a big Panthers win.
How about my Titans heating up, headed to Indy?
Your Titans are going to finally be happy with me for once. I have them pulling off the upset in Indianapolis 24-23. Why? Defensive front and all those exotic looks are going to be too much for that O-line, which is a very good O-line, hasn't allowed a sack in 4 games. That changes this week.
Matt Money Smith on the call. Chargers Broncos starting high scoring, low scoring. Cynthia, what do you have?
I have a high scoring game here where the Chargers win 29-21. Why? Because Phillip Rivers and that offensive diversity absolutely outmatches the Broncos. Sorry, TD.
No, you're not. Raiders Cardinals.
I have a high-scoring game here, too, as well. Cardinals win 24-19. Byron Leftwich is going to get David Johnson going. I think he sees the end zone, maybe even twice.
Needs to get Josh Rosen going, too. All right, Bucs can put up big offensive numbers. Will they do it against the Giants?
No, my model predicts a low-scoring game here. Giants win 27-24. Why? Because the red zone is a big problem for the Bucs. Turnovers there have plagued them 3 in the past 3 games. That's no bueno.
All right, TD, it is time Your lock of the week, my friend.
Yeah, let's go with this. Arizona Cardinals over the Oakland Raiders. Last week, I thought the Cardinals came out. They played extremely well against the Chiefs. So David Johnson got going 183 yards from scrimmage, 1 touchdown. That is my lock of the week, Cardinals over the Raiders.
Like it.
All right, TD, with that, let's do pick 6. 6 games. Cynthia giving points to each pick. Most confident gets 6. Your least gets 1. Let's start with the game of the week. Chiefs now in LA taking on the Rams.
Yep, I have the Rams coming out on top here, but this one here gets the 3. So it's not the most certain one at all.
Yeah, but you have the Rams winning by 1.
1 point.
Texans on the road taking on the Redskins.
Yeah, so we like this one. Texans get the road win. They get the 4. That's the 3rd most confident.
J.J. Watt against that banged-up O-line. Titans, Colts.
Okay, I told you that I like the Titans. You hear that? Tighten up. They all hate me because they think I hate them, but I don't. They get the 2. They also get the win.
Andrew Luck has never lost to the Titans. The Steelers playing the Jags. The Jags owned them last year.
Yeah, so I think that this one also goes in the other direction this time, and this was pretty confident.
I think a lot of people very confident with what the Steelers are doing. The Vikings and Bears.
Okay, well, this one, we know that the away team wins, but it's not the most confident one. This one gets the 1.
Yeah, we're both split on this. Winner of that game is in the driver's seat in the division. Broncos on the road, taking on the Chargers.
I just gave you the score, and this one's going to be a high-scoring game. I think the Chargers take this one very convincingly. In fact, I'm going to go ahead to the next one.
Oh, there you go.
There, give my lock.
That is her lock?
Yeah, sorry.
TD,
sorry,
you
TD.
are the
They get the star, too,
only
because
one.
it's the right color.
Picking the Broncos.
Yeah.
Sorry, TD. You got to keep it real here.
Look at some of our picks from the show so far. Almost everybody likes the Ravens except me. Almost everybody likes the Falcons except TD. We all like the Steelers. Lone wolfing it, going with my Redskins. I got to do it. It's been a couple of weeks now. Panthers, Cardinals, Saints. We're all in on those teams.